everybody? So we're back out in the shop with another daily vlog. And guys, it's time to go ahead and mount the handle scales onto this knife right here. Love the way this is turning out so far. Love this finish that's on here. It's going to be really cool whenever we put an edge on it, and that high polished edge really stands out against this stonewash finish. So, goal for right now, we're going to get the handle scales taken off of that little setup right there, and then we're going to go ahead and get them kind of drawn out, get the holes drilled in them, get them cut out, then get them mounted onto this knife. We're going to go ahead and break down what I'm doing and why I'm doing it, and kind of go from there. Guys, let's jump into it. Let's see how it turns out. So what we're going to do right here is really just focus on getting one side squared off, because we just need that one side to line up whenever we do the next step, which is taping these scales together. So that's all we're really focusing. Right here I'm just kind of cleaning off some of the epoxy, but it's just focusing on getting that one side squared and then getting the pieces that are going to be mounting to the tang sanded a little bit so that they're roughed up. Makes the mechanical bond a lot better later. So now we're just getting them taped up. All I did was put a piece of tape on the table and then press them down on that piece of tape, and this just keeps the scales together while we're doing the next couple of steps. So now we're going to go ahead, we're just going to draw the outline of the tang onto the handle scales, so that whenever it comes time to start cutting them out, it's a lot easier to see what we're going to do. And when we're drilling holes, it's real easy to have a reference point of where the handles need to be. So now we're going to go ahead and clamp the knife to the handle scales, and we're going to leave these front two holes open so that we can easily drill through them. We're just using 3/16 drill bit because we're using 3/16 pins. We're going to get the first two drilled. Now I did drill the third one, but I did not film that for some crazy reason, so we're going to go straight back to the lanyard hole, and that is a 1/4 inch drill bit that we're using for that, because we're using a 1/4 inch brass lanyard tube. Now it's time to go ahead, get these handle scales cut out, and I am going to be cutting pretty much 100% of the excess off of this. You know, sometimes I leave a little bit of excess on there and shave it back, but on this one I want to just eliminate as much excess as possible. I absolutely hate sanding G10 and micartas. Now we're just going to do a little bit of sanding here and kind of get it all the way back to that line that we drew, and then we're going to start focusing on the front of the handle scales where they meet the ricasso, and start shaping that, rounding it, and kind of getting an idea of how we want it to look. I don't typically have a big plan going into this part. I just, for the most part, wing it, kind of decide what the handle scales want me to do on it. And yeah, this is a prime example of that, because I started one thing where I was just rounding it, putting a nice little radius, and then I decided, let's go ahead and do a steep angle on the front of it, but just on the bottom, because I wanted that mallard green liner to really stand out whenever we got them sanded up. So that's what I'm doing right here. Again, this is just me going by eye. I don't have an exact angle that I did there. It's just what I thought looked good. Now for the hand sanding part of this, we are going to use 220 grit at first and start really getting rid of the grind lines from the 40 grit that we use to shape this. And it's going to start getting a little finish. You can see a little area right here where I need to sand down past that to get it real smooth, because if you leave areas like that that are kind of dull, whenever you go to polish it, it won't polish like the rest of the handles will. So you want to get a nice smooth finish all the way around. And you want to do this part before you put the handle scales on the knife, because you cannot do all of this once it's on there. You won't be able to have access to it without scratching up the steel that you've already finished. So do this step beforehand. And then we're going to go up to 320 grit. And we're actually just going to leave it at 320 grit. I'm not going to sand it any higher than that. I don't feel it necessary on G10 like this. It's going to buff up just fine. You don't have to go up to the 2000 grit and the 1000 grit if you don't want to. I think that this is going to turn out real good. I like to have that little line showing right there, especially where you can see it from the side. We're going to be using our 5-minute epoxy by JB Weld. We're just going to do equal parts, get it mixed up, and get it ready to put on the knife. What we'll do is we'll take the pins, coat them a little bit, and then put them in. My camera shut off whenever I first started doing that, so I lost a little bit of footage there, but you'll get to see the rest of it. And whenever we're putting epoxy on this, we're just putting just enough on there to coat the pieces. We don't want to overdo it, because then you end up with a ton of squeeze out, and that's just a big headache and a big mess later. And when it comes to clamping, you don't want to put too much pressure on, because then you'll just squeeze out all the epoxy. You want to do just enough pressure to make sure that it's touching and that there's no gap between the handle scales and the blade. Once you hit that point, you're good. Don't tighten it anymore. And then we're going to go ahead and clean up the front with acetone on a little paper towel. And you want to make sure that you're not holding this vertical and trying to clean it, because if you do that, the acetone will go down in between the handle scales and start eating away at that glue that's right there. Okay, let's wrap up today's daily vlog. Man, I am so ready to actually see what this looks like after I shape it, because it's looking cooler than I expected. So let's bring this over here. just so y'all can see that. That is that liner in between those two black G10 1/8" scales right there. Look at that. It just pops. Absolutely pops. I can't wait to see what this is going to look like whenever I'm contouring it and just doing all the shapes and doing all that stuff. It's just going to make a cool little line of just color. Everything else is going to be dark. It's going to look so sick. So sick. Okay, so tomorrow's goal. We are going to get that shaped. We're going to go ahead and go through that whole process. Tomorrow's video will be pretty much just dedicated to shaping the handle, because I don't know if y'all know this. Most of y'all probably do, because y'all make knives anyways, or y'all are trying to make knives and starting that whole process and realize how much work it takes to shape and sand a set of handles. It is absolutely very time consuming, very dusty, and a lot of work. Especially if you want to take the time to make it as awesome as possible and as smooth as possible, so you don't have any weird waves and jagged little sections on it. You want it to be super smooth and look like it could come from a store that way. Except for mine's better than what would come from a store. Now, that's tomorrow's goal. Get that shaped up, talk about what we're doing with that. Hopefully y'all liked today's video, and if you did, give it a like. And if y'all would, share this video or a video I've done in the past that might be your favorite. Guys, if you haven't yet, bottom corner, no, not that, that's the knife. Right, that little thing. Hit that. Subscribe to the channel so you get notified for when we actually do the next step of that, plus some of the other cool things that we have coming up. Guys, thank y'all for coming by. Thank y'all for spending your time with me. Y'all have an amazing day. Y'all stay safe out there. I'll catch y'all next time.